In this video, we're going to be talking about Pluto's shift in signs to Aquarius and what that means potentially for macro markets as well as Bitcoin and crypto markets. All right, so let's take a look at here. Here is the Pluto planet, and right now it's in the sign of Capricorn. What's going to happen the next few days? We're going to switch into the sign of Aquarius. There it is, and now it's in Aquarius, and it's going to be there for a while. It's going to be transiting in Aquarius for a few, actually many months of this year. And it's not going to go retrograde until May 2024. And it's going to retrograde back. It's going to come all the way back to where it was before in Capricorn. And it's going to continue in Capricorn towards the second half of the year. And then it's going to go direct again back into Aquarius until it will stay in Aquarius for the next, I believe, 20 years or so. All right, so it's going to be there for a while. So this is big for markets, because let's take a look at what happened the last time that Pluto transited into Capricorn. And that was back in 2008. That was the 2008 market collapse. Now, this is what happened back in 2008. We saw the markets fall off. This is the Dow Jones as Pluto entered a Capricorn for the first time. We saw markets fall off, and then a pump. Then it went retrograde, and the markets kept falling off. The orange line represents retrograde, and then it finally ingressed into Capricorn for the third time. By that time, the markets had almost already completely hit bottom, but it took a few more months for markets to hit the actual bottom, where there's maximum fear in the markets, maximum terror, the great financial crisis here, before markets rebounded and went back up. So we're going to talk about Pluto's ingress into Aquarius. This is happening 2023 to 2024 before it is completely into Aquarius. So it takes, this time it's taking about a year and a half to fully transition into Aquarius from Capricorn. It started back in March of 2023. We saw Bitcoin dump when the Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, but then markets rebounded. And it was overall pretty bullish for crypto, for Bitcoin, and for the macro markets like the Dow Jones, S&P 500. And so Pluto in Aquarius themes are a technological revolution. All right, Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus, which is the planet of technology. So obviously we're seeing a lot of things happening in technology with AI, with ChatGPT, with crypto, with Bitcoin, with the metaverse and electric vehicles. All right, and other themes of Pluto and Aquarius include radical new ideas about humanity. We're seeing a lot of new ideas about humanity that are kind of weird, and Aquarius is a very weird sign, so we're seeing people question their genders and all kinds of other things that we're going to be facing over the next 20 years or so. Also, likely new ideas where everyone is treated as equals. I do believe governments are going to be coming out with universal basic income at some point. That might happen after some sort of a collapse in the economy. We will see how that unfolds. And also changes in the power structures of the world. So the old structures are dying, which were represented by Pluto and Capricorn. Capricorn is a kind of top-down authority, bureaucracy, large corporations, big governments. That is potentially dying a bit, or transforming, changing, and the new structures are forming. And I believe a lot of these new structures are going to be created with AI and the blockchain. So we are seeing those in crypto. If you have been involved in crypto, you know what I'm talking about. So we're going from centralization to decentralization, all right? And I think Bitcoin plays a very big part of that, which basically birthed this new age of the blockchain technology and crypto. But obviously we're seeing many cryptos go beyond what just Bitcoin was created to do. All right, so now a warning is to watch out, during Pluto and Aquarius, we're gonna need to watch out for extreme idealism. We're already seeing that on the world stage in many areas. and groupthink dogmas. So we want to stay away from the extremes. There's going to be a lot of kind of mass idealism and large groupthink ideas that may not necessarily be the most beneficial thing for humanity. So it's important to stay grounded in your individual truth, all right, and not question yourself based on what you know is right when there's a lot of crazy ideas going on out there. All right, so the last time Pluto transited 0 degrees, let's review. We had the 2008 financial crash. All right, so Pluto is the planet that transforms from the ground up and then it regenerates. All right, so what are we facing now? We're facing Pluto transiting into Aquarius. We saw it happen in March 23rd, right before the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. Then it retrograded. Red is retrograde. It means it goes backwards basically into the previous sign of Capricorn. But then we're seeing it actually on January 20th, California time. If you're in Asia, it's happening on the 21st. Then it's going to retrograde, and then it goes forward again, and it hits 0 degrees in Aquarius on November 19th. All right, so another time Pluto transited 0 degrees was 1937 to 1939. Now this is when it transited 3 times, when it retrograded 3 times and hit that 0 degrees of that new sign. And what happened in the Dow Jones? All right, so I found the Dow Jones going all the way back to 1937. I saw potentially, exactly what happened to the markets when Pluto transited 3 times into a new sign, which is exactly what's happening now. And so these are the dates back in 1937 and 1939. Happened over a couple years like it's happening now, or about a year and a half. And what happened to markets? This is literally what happened to markets. So the blue line is when the first time it went in, transited 0 degrees to the new sign, and then it went backwards. It hit 0 degrees going back into the previous sign. And then this middle blue line is basically where we're at now. If you compare what happened in 1937 to what's happening when Pluto transits 0 degrees on January 20th, it's kind of similar to here. So I'm thinking, there's a chance we might see similar price activity in the markets. Now, what happened here? We saw a dump and then a pump before it went back to the previous sign when this orange line hits there. So remember that. All right, now we'll look at another time. I just didn't want to stop there. I also looked back. Previous time Pluto transited 0 degrees 3 times was in 1912 to 1914. And let's compare what happened. It also happened in 1956. So 3 times. We have 1956, 1937, and 1912. And let's compare them. So this is what happened to the Dow Jones. In 1956, we saw... So take a look at the middle blue line, because this is basically where we're headed. We saw markets peak and then dumping. And we're actually maybe seeing that with Bitcoin now. All right, so Bitcoin just peaked at 49,000. We're starting to see it fall off. Could we see similar price action like this? I'll talk more about that. We'll analyze that. What did we see in 1937? We saw markets dump and then pump. We also saw that in 1956. We saw a bigger dump and then we did recover. And then what did we see in 1912? Let's see. We saw markets pump and then dump. But then right when we hit this retrograde, we started pumping again. So, that's interesting. So what's interesting is all 3 times we did see a dump. So we did see a correction all 3 times after Pluto ingressed into the new sign for the second time. So we did see a dump here. It just had a pump before that dump. So remember that. So correlations, all 3 times markets dumped after Pluto retrograded for the first time before Pluto ingressed to 0 degrees the second time. So what I'm saying there is after this orange line, we saw a dump. After this orange line, we saw a dump. After this orange line, we saw a dump. And we did, I believe, we did see that with the Dow Jones in 2023 as well. We saw a dump, and I could show you an example of that. So taking a look at the Dow Jones in 2023, Pluto retrograded to 0 degrees, Aquarius, and then it did pump, but when we did see that dump. So in between the retrograde to January 20th, we saw this dump. Another correlation is in between Pluto's second ingress to Aquarius and Pluto's second retrograde, there was a dump and a pump. And that was what I was just talking about. Right here, we see a dump and a pump. Right here, we see a dump and then a pump. And then right here, the only difference is we got that pump first, and then we dumped and then pumped. All right, but all 3 times we saw that dump. So what we'll likely see in 2024 is we're either going to dump before we recover, or we could see one last pump before we dump. But most likely between now and September of this year, we're gonna see a pretty big correction. Possible outcomes for Bitcoin during Pluto in Aquarius 2024. We'll likely get a Bitcoin correction anytime now to September 2024 to the 30K to 40K range. So I am definitely going to be buying that up. That could also happen when the Fed, after the Fed cuts rates, and I'll talk more about that in a second. I also can't count out a short-term pump if the Fed pauses on January 31st, and they are projected to do that. If we look at the CME FedWatch tool here, the probabilities is 97% that we are going to continue to pause rates, and historically that is bullish for the Dow Jones, for the macro markets, and especially for crypto. Things to consider: price action largely depends on the Fed funds rates. If we continue to pause rates, that's bullish. If the Fed cuts rates, it might have a final pump, but then after that, markets typically dump. Like and share if you got a lot of value from this video. Share it with a friend or a family member who is into crypto, who is also potentially a believer of astrology. I have one-on-one private sessions available this month to look at this Pluto's transition into Aquarius and how that affects your personal astrology chart, as well as as a bonus, I will look over the entire year of 2024 for your personal astrology. That is a month-by-month, step-by-step analysis of your astrology themes for this year, as well as I will look privately with you at the Bitcoin astrology month by month in 2024, so you can make the best investment decisions for yourself this year, so you can make calculated decisions on whether it's the right time to buy more or sell more. And I can give you specific times where you can make the right decisions for yourself and your investments. Definitely subscribe if you want to see more amazing astrology and Bitcoin videos like this. I'll be coming out with a lot more Bitcoin astrology, Ethereum astrology, altcoin astrology as well. So stay tuned. I'll see you on the next video.